Welcome, everybody, to the Dr. Nobody podcast. I'm here today with one of my closest friends, David. David and I have been friends for many, many years. I think a little over 10 years since we were in college together. And you've heard from Marvin, my embarrassing story meeting them. I'll let David later on tell his point of view of that little event. But David, welcome to the show. Can you give the listeners a little bit about yourself, your bio, and just talk about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me on your show. I'm honored to be here. And first of all, I guess I just have to congratulate you on initiating this podcast. I've known you to be a very driven guy, and now I know that you go for what you want, and then you just do it. So congratulations again.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I am David, and I am a biostatistician. I currently reside in Iowa, which is where I obtained my master's degree. And yeah, I've been living as a biostatistician for the past, I'd say, 8 years, since I graduated with my master's. It was kind of fun. Now I am both working full time as a biostatistician, and I'm also seeking my doctorate degree. So it's a tough road, but I am taking it step by step.
That I guess that's a tongue twister, like saying biostatistician. Like I hear you say so slowly, but I can't. So I'm not going to say it. But for our listeners, can you explain what that is?
Well, biostatistician is basically a statistician, but mostly applied to the medical field, and that's all it is. And I specifically work in clinical trials. There are many other aspects of biostatistics. I work in clinical trials, but I also work in observational studies. So clinical trials, the difference between the two is clinical trials is more um, you have more control over the different aspects of the study. You're able to get a certain amount of patients, and you're able to give them some sort of intervention, and you're hoping you'll see a difference between the two. And then there is the other observational part of it where you don't have control over your randomization. It's more like in a real world scenario, like data. You can only look at the data, but your conclusions are not, super definitive. So that's briefly what the difference between the two are. And I work in both of these aspects of biostatistics.
So when you were doing your college degree, did you know you were going to do this? Is this a choice that you had, or did someone tell you or introduce you? Like, how did you find that?
Well, actually, biostatistics came to me through a series of events.
You're going to say through a dream.
No, no, not quite. So, for example, it all started actually through the McNair program, which we did in undergrad. So, at I was simply a uh, um, a math major with a statistics option, and I believe it was Dr. Bugris who told me about a conference in Iowa. It was the StatsFest conference, and in that conference, I met a professor here in Iowa. His name is Dr. Zamba, and he told me about this summer program, this REU program, which introduces students in the field of biostatistics. And so when I did the program, I loved every bit of it. I was like, you know what? I'd really like to pursue this. And so after I did the program, I finished my undergrad, and I I was like, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do. And so I applied for grad school here and got in. That's basically how biostatistics got in through a summer program.
There's a lot to unpack there, and I have a lot of questions that revolve around that. But I guess the first one is, in a couple of my episodes, I talk about, and even my guests talk about having taking advantage of opportunities like a conference. So, one, how important do you think is? No, sorry. Let me rewind that. One, what is a conference? Because some people are not in the science background. They may not understand that, and maybe we could talk about it. And two, how important do you think is attending these type of events?
Well, conferences are, you know, it's your doorway into many different aspects of your career, because that's where you'll meet many people from different backgrounds. You'll make connections, and these connections will open so many doors for you. Um, and through these doors, you'll either choose to go to grad school or go somewhere else. But um, attending these conferences can have a very big impact on your choice of career. Again, in my scenario, it's through a conference that I met the professor here, one of the professors who does biostatistics. And if I had not gone to that conference, I would not have met this person, and I would not have learned about biostatistics. I'd probably be working somewhere else, maybe in McDonald's or
Hey, they make a
something.
lot of
But
money there.
um, that's true. That's true. I like their food. I'm not. I'm not ditching them. But yeah. Again, conferences are very important. They basically gives you uh, uh, um, a head start ahead of everybody else, because you meet people and they remember you. And if you meet a professor in the school and you want to apply to that school, if you had a conversation with that professor will remember you, and they'll give you a bit of priority above
Yeah, and
other
I feel like
students.
it also, these type of events, not just conferences, because there's other things that you can do. I think also are important for networking. To what your point is, these people you learn about or you
Yep.
hear and you talk to them, they do remember you. I know that when, at least when we attended conferences, we'd always talk to as many people as possible and add them on LinkedIn, and we always were trained to send an email the next day of saying like, "Thank you for talking to me," and then make sure they know who you are, a picture, and whatever it is. Because I personally still talk to my REU, which is our research experience for undergrads program that we did with the one I did at in Tennessee in Vanderbilt, and that was, I mean, I guess that was over 10 years ago for both of us, right? I don't remember.
No, I was just going to say you're exactly right about making these connections. Another thing that comes out of that is, um, say you have some ideas, but you didn't think about um, other ideas that people are thinking, and by combining what you already had in someone else's idea, you might come up with an even bigger idea for yourself and come up with something new.
There's things that you just don't know about out there. I mean, even the field that I joined, I didn't know about it until basically 3 months before I applied to it. So yeah, there's just things you just learn at or any type of event like that. uh, so David, I know you at a personal level, and this is my personal question to you, but I think it's a very important question for the listeners. Is that you grew up, well, you lived in Haiti, right? And then you came to New Jersey, and then you
That's
moved to
correct.
Iowa. Can you
Yes.
can you I'm
Yes.
only laughing, listeners, because he started giggling, and he probably knows where it's going. But how can you explain your transition from Haiti to New Jersey to living in the cornfields of Iowa? Not literally, but I hope not literally.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start with Haiti. I mean, living in Haiti was, as a kid, was very pleasant and warm. Never seen snow. um, and I guess I enjoyed living in Haiti, but at some point, things got out of hand. It kind of got chaotic, and so my family as a whole decided, you know what, we're just gonna move on and give up everything we have and just move um, to the U.S. And that's a big sacrifice that I've never forgotten from my parents. They give up everything they have, everything they've known, every degree that they have is just they give it all up to bring us here for a better life, and I'll forever be thankful. And so yeah, then I came here to the U.S., to New Jersey, and that's when I got into high school. I did 2 years of high school. It's funny enough because I remember applying to the high school, and I just went in, and they sent me to send some assessment, and the lady asked me, okay, walk down the aisle and tell the person that you need to take the test for a sophomore. I don't know what sophomore meant. I just came to the country, and so I didn't even know what the word was. I just heard it say sophomore, and I just nod my head and just walked down. And then the guy asked me, for which grade are you in? And I said 11th grade. So I basically skipped a grade and just started there, and I I guess I passed it because I got into 11th grade, and so I was happy about that. But anyway, I did 2 years of high school, and then in the summer after I graduated high school, I did a program called EEO. I believe Marvin did that as well. Um, Equal opportunity, equal experience opportunity, or something like that. But you basically is you start a summer into college, and you earn some credits for it, and then that'll give you a foot in the door in the college. And so I did that. I got some credits, and then I enrolled in the university, Kane University, which we went together, and then I did 4 years of undergrad there, and uh, decided to come to Iowa. And the reason why I came to Iowa is because of the um, the summer program that I did. I realized spending 3 months in Iowa, it was warm, it was beautiful, it was green, not the corn, but there was the people were, they were nice, and everywhere you walk, people would say hi to you, and it was something that I wasn't used to. But yeah, that's how I got from Haiti to New Jersey to Iowa.
That those are pretty big jumps, and the Haiti to US jump, it's probably, you're pretty young, right? High school age is still kind of young because you're still learning about the world relatively. But when you decided to make the jump from New Jersey to Iowa, what were your feelings like? You're now going full independent from your parents, because nobody, it's just you over there, right? There's no family
That's
members there. So you've
that's
had this
correct.
bubble that you've been with all your life, and then you're like, I need to take this step to
Yeah.
progress in my career. Can you elaborate a little more about that?
Yeah, it was a daunting thing because um, we Haitians, we think in terms of family. We don't go too far away from the family. But spending time in the McNair program, going to conferences, seeing what other people do, they're not, they broke out of their bubble, and so that followed what other people are doing. Yeah, it's just if you don't break out of that bubble, opportunities are not, or they're limited. I mean, you may end up finding a nice career if you don't leave, around your family. But for me, it was the right thing to do at the time. And I talk to my family every day. It's not like I alienate them, or I talk with them every day. I keep in contact, and so it didn't feel as though they were very far. So
Did you feel like you were mentally and physically ready for a change like that?
No.
That was a quick no. Do you still feel physically, mentally ready?
um, I mean, sometimes you just have to be able to get out of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
It's really tough, but you don't learn by, you know, you don't experience by staying in your little comfort zone. You have to, spread your wings a bit, and that's how opportunities come. If you stay in your little bubble where, you're seeing the same people all the time, um, unless those people are very, very successful, you may not, you may not become successful yourself. So you have to, again, spread your wings to be able to find other opportunities that's not readily available.
Yeah, it's a very cliche thing to say, and it's okay. I think one of the reasons why I started this podcast is these cliche things to say like that, go spread your wings. I think it means more coming from people that had nothing or from little and aren't famous, like to your point, or rich or influential, and just nobodies like us, that
Yeah.
that have made it to, made something from themselves from very little or nothing. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. I guess the other aspect that I want to dig a little bit, and it's kind of the focus of this episode, is that delayed gratification, right? And it doesn't mean, for the listeners to understand this, it doesn't mean that it's, delaying your gratification of getting a PhD, but it could be anything in your career. So for us, yes, it was our PhDs, that delay of waiting a couple years. Maybe it's the delay for you to go into college, or jumping to that next step of moving to another state to start your career. So, David, can you talk about that decision of waiting, a couple years before you do your PhD, or not even doing it right after finishing your undergrad degree?
Yeah, and it was a tough decision at the time. So as I was, getting into grad school was a shock for me. It was a shock. You go in there and you just get shocked with the courses, with the way they teach. I decided after the masters that I would stop and let give me time to absorb what I learned
Mhm.
and apply it first, because I tend to learn more by applying things, not learning something to a course and then just automatically know how exactly to use it all the time.
Mhm.
So doing the 2 years of masters, I learned things and I wanted to apply it, and that's what I did. I also had decided to stop. That wasn't the only reason. I decided to stop because of financial reasons. I needed to help my family.
Mhm.
So I thought it was a good time for me to get a job and get paid and help out with with those bills. But yeah, I decided to do that, and I think it was a very good decision for me. Maybe not the right decision for others, but it helped me learn, get that experience, let everything I learned sink in, and then once I truly mastered what I had learned, I decided in the last 3 years that I would go back for my PhD.
So I know you just mentioned that, but was there a trigger point in your mind, was like, okay, now I'm going to do my PhD? Because what is your goal with your PhD now? You're pretty successful for what you're doing in your career now. Why do you feel the need that now is the time to do your PhD?
So, for multiple reasons, again, if you surround yourself with very successful friends, you tend to try to elevate yourself to their levels. I'm talking
That's
about you, Marvin. uh,
that's a good thing.
yeah, yeah, it's a good thing. You don't want to be left behind.
Or made fun of. No, I'm just playing.
Make fun. Yeah, that's one thing. Another thing is I want to eventually start my own contract research organization. And in order for me that I need some form of credentials. Yes, I do have the experience, but I think having a doctorate degree would go a long ways to doing that. And it's not a 5 year, maybe a or 10 year goal, but um, I'm hoping in the next 15 years I'll have not only the experience with the documentation to be able to start such a company and and have that trust. Without the doctorate degree, it'd be difficult to gain that trust from your customers, at least in that particular field. Not that this is what you need for another field.
So do you think this gap then between, your master's and now your PhD, and then kind of soaking it in, is all part of your plan eventually?
It wasn't all part of my plan, but it it turns out that it's gonna work well, hopefully. um, so yeah, you can't plan everything. Sometimes things happen, and you just have to
Roll with the
seek
punches.
those other paths, and just don't give up. Cliche, but don't give up.
How has it been juggling your full-time job and doing a PhD? And then I'll ask another question after that, which is, and your family. So the first two is PhD and job, and then the other one and including your family.
Well, it's been it's been tough. I'll admit it's been tough. But I'll just go ahead and tie in the family. My family drives me. I want to be able to get my family in a position where where we are all financially stable, and so that drives me into not giving up, given how hard working full time and doing a PhD is. So I work I work from 8:30 to 5 to 6, and then after work I eat, try to take a 20-minute nap, and then do the classwork and work on dissertation or whatever it is that I have to do in the next day or two. So that's been tough. It's taken away some fun time for me. But yeah, but I know why I'm doing it. I know why I'm doing it. I'm driven by wanting to get, me and my family in a place where, I'm trying to get them that Akuna Matata life. um, so yeah,
Nice. So that's your driving force.
yeah,
That's nice. Yeah, no,
it's it's tough. It's tough. I'm missing out on some things. But again, I know why I'm doing it.
yeah, good for you. That's I know for me personally that's always been a driving force as well for me. The listeners have heard about my story with my family and the situation. So, everybody has something to focus on to motivate them. And I think that's really important for the listeners to hear, that find something that you can grab hold and be the reason why you want to succeed, because that way you have, when you are having tough times or you feel like you're not going to do it, you think of that one thing you're grabbing hold of and why you're doing it. Like, for instance, as you and I as our family, and that motivates you, is like, I can't fail, I can't stop, I need to keep going. So, it's, I think it's really important, and I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, yeah. People will have multiple different goals, but there is that big drive that will keep you going. No matter how many times you fail, you'll always try to work hard to try and get to that ultimate goal that you want to achieve. So
Yeah, totally agree. When you think about how you've gotten to this point in your life, is there any specific people in your life, like advisors or mentors, that really stand out, or do you think you felt like you've done this basically on your own? You've managed it up to this point on your own.
I There's no way that I can say that I did this on my own. Um, I mean, for example, here, the faculty here and the University of Iowa Biostatistics Department, they they really invest time in you. They want you to succeed. Um, and so I've heard many things about Ivy League schools. I'm not hating on Ivy League schools, but sometimes uh, um, if you're not the top student, some professors may just not care
Yeah, I know. Yep.
about you.
Hmm.
But here, the University of Iowa faculty here, they just really care about you. You walking in a department, everybody knows your name.
Wow.
And yeah, they take time to know their students, and they want you to succeed, and they're always available. They're not gonna give you some I don't get paid enough to to babysit you answer. Um, yeah, so that's what I really like about faculty here, and and I have some great mentors. The chair of the department is a great mentor and friend. He's sort of encouraged me to pursue the PhD. He's one of the reasons. Um, yeah, and just my my work also has allowed me to, you know, take a course a semester, and they don't, if I miss maybe an hour, they don't, hold it over my head, and I can always make it up some other time and stuff. And so if it's just been really nice. And without all these, perks that I have here, I don't know how I would be able to do it.
So it's like a perfect scenario there that you've built, and it's not just from you; it's from everybody around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Must be nice. This way.
Yeah, some are not that fortunate, and but
Yeah, I think that's a really important point to just harp on a little bit, is that if you found something that works really well, there's no reason to leave it or to move or to change it. And also no reason to take advantage of it too much, because then you're just hurting yourself. But it sounds like you found a really nice place, and that's why now I can understand why you're still in Iowa and you haven't come back. Which is it's fair.
yeah, yeah. I mean, again, the people are nice, and the faculty here, like, they really care about you. So if you have that, um, care around you, you don't feel alone,
Mhm.
and so it's not, it's not in your immediate interest to just give it up and move on.
This question might come up in a different way in a little bit, but what I want to ask you, are there any pro tips based on your experience managing a terminal degree, a full-time job, and your family? Anything that's worked for you specifically?
Well, um, I would say you will go a little crazy, but you have to do the basics too. And by that, I mean eat healthy.
I thought you were going to say take a shower. That too.
That you can do that once a month. You'll be fine. I'm kidding. Um,
Are you though?
y- yeah, you have to eat healthy. Um, do your exercise. Um, because things will get out of hand. Stress levels will go up, and you have to try to reduce those risks. What's the point of working this hard when, like, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years down the road, you're just gonna get sick
Yeah.
and potentially die. Um, you have to have a little bit of balance. I try to, um, for myself, I try to occasionally, watch a movie, just to get my head away from all the stuff that I need to do, watch movies or a TV show. Um, Occasionally, maybe every Friday, you say, "Oh, okay, I have to watch that TV show on Friday." Yeah, at least if you're crunching time, in my scenario.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and if you have a friend, you can play some board games. I play two-player board games to keep my mind off things. Um, but yeah, you have to do some sort of things to distract you from all the stress that you have, but you can't overdo it because um, somebody's have to do some. The job's not gonna do itself. You have to do the job, and
That's good. That's very basic stuff that people totally neglect very easily.
yeah, it's easy to ignore um, healthy meal, and then next thing you know, you have to go to the hospital and you know experience something that might you might regret. So
Absolutely. When you think about a PhD or any terminal degree, so like an MD, dentistry, uh, things like that, do you think someone needs a terminal degree to be successful in life? What's your honest opinion?
I mean, it's I think the obvious answer is no. uh, yeah, you don't need that, but it has to be something that you want to do. um, if you don't want it, don't get it. It's not the easiest thing, um, but you don't need it to be successful. I mean, you can easily invest $2 in Dogecoin, and then 5 months later you become a millionaire. Uh,
Bam, done.
yeah, but yeah, you don't really need a say a doctorate degree to be successful, but it is what's I feel like is right for me. It's what I feel I can do to be successful. But if you wanna, go and do a TikTok videos and have millions of views and get millions of dollars for it, you go ahead and that's fine.
Do what you got to do.
You do what you gotta do.
It's fair advice. What I want to ask you next is related to your job in your career. Being a biostat person sounds incredibly boring and hard. I'm just like, I hate maths, just so the listeners know. That's why I tease David on that. But uh, what gets you up in the morning about your job? What gets you excited?
Well, I think uh, you get to work with extremely smart people. For example, in my job, I get to work with a bunch of physicians, talk with them, explain things to them. Now, I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody, but you know, interacting with a bunch of people who I feel are a lot smarter than I am, it it brings you that joy. Oh, look, I'm actually interacting with smart people, which means I must not be as stupid as I am. um, but yeah, um, I think I I I like that aspect of my job. Um, where I get to interact with all these smart people. You hear their point of view and you learn things from them too. And it can only do good for you because you keep learning new things about how they think. I mean, that I find that exciting about my job.
That's fine. That's great. Yeah, I'm sure that's also very intimidating talking to doctors in general.
Yeah, yeah. I can either go two ways. You can either be happy you're learning from them, or you're gonna feel dumb talking to them. In which case, both happen to me. But
Oh boy.
yeah, no, I mean they know a lot of things, and you get to hear their perspective on things. But they also didn't get a degree in biostatistics, so they get to learn from me too.
Yeah.
So they learn as much from you as you learn from them. Um, it's just yeah, I never imagined that I would be working with a bunch of smart people, constantly. Uh, it's not something that I imagine. Oh yeah, when I grow up, I'm just gonna surround myself with a bunch of smart people. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, I find that very fun to do.
Good for you. Making your job exciting by talking to smarter people and having fun and learning, because that's always fun for us. Like always learning, and learning through others is probably even cooler than just reading a book all day.
Yep, yep.
So we're wrapping up here. I have two more questions for you. Um, I always ask my interviewee, what are the best and worst moments in your career or your life, if you want to share something, and then I'll ask the second question after.
Best moment of my career would be getting my I guess I have many of them. every time you publish every time you publish you get published in a in a paper. It's just thrilling to see that all the hard work that you put, running analyses, summarizing the results and explaining to the physicians or researchers what the results say, and then you work with them, you write the paper, you help write the paper, and then many people from different backgrounds come together, they have their inputs on the paper, and then they publish it. I find that exciting. I guess for worst, um I guess the worst moment for me was one time we were getting ready to publish a paper. You're working with researchers from NIH, and NIH is not something you want to mess around with.
National
And then,
Institute of Health, for people that don't know what that is.
yeah, and and then you realize, like a few days before your publication, before uh, you know paper is getting ready to publish, you realize, oh crap, there's an error in the code.
Oh no.
So yeah, this sort of thing can happen. Luckily, there is a period of time where once your paper has been published, you have time for more revisions, before you fully publish the paper.
Mhm.
So that's what saved me. But going to that experience of finding last minute errors, and having to stay in the office at 4 a.m. in the
Oh,
morning
yeah.
trying to address these and fixing them before paper gets sent out. um, that's kind of daunting and stressful, but um, think these things happen. I wouldn't be the first this happens to, and don't feel bad. You just have to learn from it and just move on.
So basically, you almost came back to New Jersey.
I Yeah, I mean it was a group error. I
Oh,
wouldn't
now
say
you're
it was.
blaming other people. Got it. Very bold move.
Yeah. So
That's so good. Yeah. The last question I have for you: what are five essential things you think are important to succeed in your career or in your life? Now, you can think of in terms of your own personal life and career, or just in general, some things that you think is important.
hmm. So I I probably wouldn't be able to give you five, but I can give you maybe maybe
At least
maybe
one.
one.
Okay. Make
Yeah.
it a good
So
one then.
oh I guess this would be for grad student. I'm gonna give an advice to grad students. I am not the the brightest of students. um,
It's being very humble.
but if you decide to um, come to grad school, one thing, and if you're a struggler like me, one thing you must try your best not to do is to compare yourself with other students. Um, in my case, like there are times when as I said earlier, coming to grad school getting into grad school and taking grad courses was a shock for me. And so when you look around you, you see all these brilliant students, and and you're constantly trying to compare yourself with them to them, is a no go because everybody in grad school come from different backgrounds. Some of them will be um, better prepared than you in some things. You might be better prepared in something else than them, but it's it's not um, it's not wise to compare yourself to them and try to say, "Oh my goodness, this person is just so much smarter than me. I don't belong here," or you will have that you may have that um, feeling or that of like, I feel like I don't belong here. I'm just not smart enough, or um, I'm a fraud. um, and my my advice f- for you is just one, just don't compare yourself, and then just go at your own pace. Yes, that might mean that you might want to work harder. You might end up having to work harder than these other students, but just just go at your own pace, and and just don't give up. Like 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 Naruto. Naruto never gave up. um so yeah, that's one advice.
That was three, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, count them all as one, but okay.
So, David, you actually described something that has been mentioned several times in this podcast, and I actually did a special on just it, which is imposter syndrome. And it seems
Yep.
like I've experienced it. People I've interviewed indirectly, unrelated to imposter syndrome, have experienced it, and it seems like you've experienced it yourself.
Oh yeah.
So it's unfortunate that people. I think I should just do another podcast, total new show, just on imposter syndrome, because one, there are people that have been on this podcast that had no idea what it was, but knew exactly how you were just describing it, but they didn't know there was a word for it. Which is,
Mhm.
it's important to recognize this, and it is a mental issue that happens. And the number one thing of imposter syndrome is exactly how David started with, which is comparing yourself to others. That is the first issue with imposter syndrome, and it's so important not to do that, no matter how successful people are around you. And just remember that as successful you are, there's people that may be looking up to you that may feel that imposter syndrome too. So you need to help them just as much as in the other way. So I always like when people bring imposter syndrome up, because how important it is in anyone's career, in any career path, because everyone experiences it in some way, shape, or form. Do you have anything
Yeah.
else to add about imposter syndrome?
No, it other than it happens to many people, you just can't let it get to you. You just have to keep going. Don't let that be the reason why you drop out or something. Um, you just have to, keep going and just work at your own pace.
All right, David, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your stories. I greatly appreciate it. And it's just a lot of things to unwind and think about for what you said, especially at the end there about imposter syndrome. I want to make sure that the listeners have an opportunity to maybe talk to you more. Is it okay for them to reach out to you on your, I guess, your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. That works for me.
All right, great. Well, listeners, I hope you gained plenty of insights today. This is the beginning of becoming a someone, but specifically the someone you always wanted to be. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please do give me a like, review, and subscribe. You can always visit my website, thedrnobodypodcast.com, to learn more about my guests and to listen to the episode again. Thanks again for listening to the Dr. Nobody podcast, where we turn nobodies to somebodies. Talk to you all very soon.